Now, the bandwagon, as they say, was getting heavy. Everyone started to jump on the bandwagon again.
Portland is not in a position to try to come back, and he should just kind of leave that alone.
Stop being satisfied with mediocre performances.
I don't like it. Plain and simple, I really don't like it. An all-star game just shows how much they just kind of continue to placate the players and their lackadaisical efforts on the court.
You really sparked my interest, and I'm sure that of many others. Alister, Albert, thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Baseline to Baseline with Alister and Orane. We're here starting up episode 21 episodes into our lovely season, into the first week of the NBA playoffs. You know, we have a really thrilling time coming up ahead. Lots of weeks coming up where we're going to be watching a lot of basketball, not sleeping very much because the NBA playoffs are here. The champions are about to be determined over the next two and a half months, thereabout, into June. Of course, the playoffs have started, and we have a few things that we want to get into. We had the NBA play-in that happened. The brackets are now fully set. We'll go through our brackets with you at the end of this episode today. But there are one or two things we want to talk about really quickly with the play-in happening, a couple of teams being eliminated, and just some of the discussions that kind of came from that. Of course, we saw, first off, getting into our first topic of conversation today, we saw the end of the run for the Golden State Warriors. Of course, Orane wore the jersey. I was about to wear my Warriors jersey as well, but we didn't synchronize here, but we still both in white, so that's okay. But talking about the Warriors, Golden State Warriors, they were eliminated in the play-in, and it was, you know, something that I think that many people expected, with Jimmy Butler not playing, going through the injury that he had with the ACL, you know, with the team being short-handed and Steph Curry doing as much as he could, but the Phoenix Suns just had a little bit of a bigger edge to them. Jalen Green playing out of his mind and everything. So we're not really going to speak too much about the ending of the play-in results for the Warriors. But what we're going to speak of, and I think this will have longer implications moving into the off-season, is what's going to happen with the tenure and, you know, the reign of Steve Kerr as coach of the Golden State Warriors. Of course, Steve Kerr has been with the team 12 seasons, has won 4 championships. By all accounts, has been a very successful coach with this franchise. And at the end, you know, with this elimination coming through, you know, he's made some very poignant statements where he said, you know, all these jobs have a little bit of an expiration date. And I think he's kind of foreshadowing whether or not he might actually return. He's going to think about it. And, you know, you have to wonder, would it be the best thing for him to leave now? I think he's talking about, there were a few comments that he made about, you know, the voices getting a bit old and needing some fresh blood and those sorts of things. It's really interesting to hear what you think, Orane. Do you think Steve Kerr, who is considered one of the top 15 coaches of all time, you know, as successful as he has been with the Warriors, you know, bringing this team into dynastic form, you know, with the championships that he's won, would it be right for Steve Kerr to walk away? Would it be right for the Golden State Warriors to fire Steve Kerr or let him go? I don't know how it's going to happen, whether he retires or whatever it is. You know, there's always a PR spin to how some of these actions happen when people don't return. What do you think the fate is of Steve Kerr with the Warriors? Would you like to see him back? Would it be good for the Warriors? And we take the conversation from there.
Yeah, so there's a famous saying, all good things must come to an end. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this Warriors story for a very long time.
Yes.
This Warriors story has taken us 4 championships, 6 finals. We've seen it all from this sport.
Yep.
What stood out to me the most in all of this is what Steve Kerr said to Draymond Green and Steph Curry following their elimination.
In the huddle.
He said, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I love you guys to death.
Mm.
What we're sure about is that movements within the Warriors organization will occur over the season. Yeah?
Definitely.
Not sure who will leave, not sure who will come in, but there will be movements. Furnitures will have to be moved. Because we're looking at a core that's getting old, if not old. Steph Curry is 38 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Draymond Green is 36. Those legs are they have huge mileage on those.
That's it.
We know that if Jimmy Butler had been healthy, this would have been a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think the Warriors are still lacking probably one or two pieces for them to challenge for an NBA title.
Yes.
And they have grown accustomed to not only making the playoffs, but challenging for titles at their peak. That's what they're known for now. And I think getting another player, it don't have to be a superstar. Yeah? It doesn't have to be a superstar, but a very good role player. I mean, we hear Giannis is also in the making to come there.
Mm-hmm.
But if they get Giannis, do they ship out Draymond Green? Who leaves?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. Who leaves? Who comes in?
Yeah.
But we know, and for Warriors Nation, they don't want it to break up. But for you to move on, changes have to be made.
Mm-hmm.
Changes have to be made. And I think over the season, will be very interesting to see what happens. Do I want Steve Kerr to come back? I mean, to be good for Warriors. I mean, if he stays or leaves, it's not a year and year for me personally because I'm a Lakers man. So, but what he has done for the Warriors dynasty has been huge. I mean, we all want the core to stay, but life doesn't happen that way. I mean, we have to see changes, we have to see movement, and from the head, not coaching level, no, we're talking from management level. I think they're very smart in how they go about these things, and I think movement will happen, as I said. Giannis coming in possibly would change things, change the dynamics of that team. A healthy Jimmy Butler. But I don't think they want to ship Draymond Green away. I think that core, they have so much respect for that core that it will be hard, very hard, for them to say, you know what, let's try and give them a way to get another superstar. I think the Warriors will more lead towards getting solid role players in the team than breaking up the championship core. And one thing that stood out to me in preparing for this, I said to myself, if the Warriors wanted to break up the score, they had the perfect opportunity to do so with the bust up between Jordan Poole and Draymond Green. Everyone accepted that Draymond Green was in the wrong. He apologized. He accepted that he was wrong. And the Warriors, what did they do? They decided to ship Jordan Poole away.
Mm-hmm.
They could have opted for Draymond Green and say, you know what? You're old. You're on the older end of the spectrum. This is a young player that we see potential in, and we want to make this move now and keep Steph Curry as the central focus of this team with a young Jordan Poole, so Jordan Poole can be the understudy to Steph Curry. So when it's time for Steph Curry to leave, Jordan Poole now can rise to that occasion because he has similar characteristics with Steph Curry in terms of his playing style. He loves to shoot from deep. So I think the Warriors had the perfect opportunity and they opted not to do so.
Yeah.
So that tells me that they want to keep this core together, and I don't see them breaking it up. I wouldn't want to see them break it up, to be honest. So they'll have some $1 million questions to answer, but for me, I'll keep the core and ride it out as long as possible.
Right. Yeah, that's fair enough because, like you say, yeah, this guy has brought championship credibility to the Warriors. I think before Steve Kerr came into the scene with the Warriors, of course, there was the Mark Jackson thing. I think earlier on in the season we spoke about very glowingly about Mark Jackson and praising of Butterfly, but not disrespecting the Caterpillar. We had that comment that you made that was really popular during that time. And before Mark Jackson, of course, he kind of created what we see with the Warriors today. But the winningest coach before that was Don Nelson.
Yeah.
Donny, small ball, run TMC, Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullin back then. Those were the glory days of the Warriors before, what we see now today with Steph Curry. And of course, well, Rick Barry back in the day winning a championship with the Warriors before that, decades ago, would argue that. But that was some time before. You wanted to say something? Let me just before I go.
Yeah. For those who think that if Draymond Green wasn't here at the Warriors, they wouldn't have had 4 championships. They would have the same amount of championship without Draymond Green. You're dead wrong.
Mm,
Go and look back at the elimination game between the Clippers and the Golden State Warriors.
in the playing,
Dray,
yeah.
Draymond Green put
That
on
boy.
a defensive clinic
Defense.
against Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
In clutch time, like there aren't many guys in the NBA that can do that to Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
And Draymond Green, I mean, it's even hard to explain how difficult that was to achieve. And Draymond Green did it on back-to-back occasions, if memory serves me right.
Yes.
Against Kawhi Leonard, who in his post-game interview said, yeah, that's a Hall of Fame. That's a Hall of Famer right there.
Yep. For sure.
That's a Hall of Famer right there. So maximum respect has to be given to a player like Draymond Green, because without him, Warriors wouldn't have that 4 championships during that time.
But forget the points that Draymond puts up, or whether or not he's not a great scorer or anything. Joel, thank you very much. Could you step out? Sorry, my little boy has come in and interrupted the proceedings. That's what happens sometimes. So yeah,
That's similar to a famous clip on BBC.
yeah, kids just coming in and walking in. Yeah, it's true, that happens. So he's got his 3 seconds of fame there in bed before he goes to bed. So forgetting some of his offensive struggles, people have pointed towards that and everything. I think, who was it? Peter Vesey, who was on our podcast in episode 10 or 11. He said, Draymond needs to, go, get off the podcast and start, practicing his 3-point shot and all that sort of stuff. And that's been his knock. But whenever it's a really high level crunch time situation, it's sometimes a toss of what Draymond will do. He'll probably get a technical and probably get ejected or be close to ejected, put the team in a bad situation, or he'll make plays like that, championship level plays that puts you above, the team, the opponent that you're playing for. And that's the dilemma I think they've had with him. But on most occasions when there's championship aspirations on the line. I know the playing was not a championship situation, but that's championship level defense against a championship MVP caliber player like Kawhi Leonard. And most of the time, Draymond Green comes through. He makes the right play. He does the screens, the dribble handoff so perfectly with Steph Curry, the 3-pointers, the assisting the 3-pointers, the defense, like we've talked about. This is a defensive player of the year, gone by, in the years gone by, and has always been in, the running for it if he's, not in a situation of not being eligible for that for whatever reasons. And it would be a shame to see him leave, but like coming to the conversation about Steve Kerr, but even before that, when they were thinking about making the trade for Giannis at the trade deadline, Draymond Green even accepted that, if he had to leave, he had to leave. He accepted the business decision that would be made at that point. That's if that has to happen. And if they were to bring in someone like Giannis, I think he probably would be the one on the line for that. Now, how that affects what happens in the offseason with Steve Kerr is monumental for this franchise, because that's going to be another a shift away from a history that is gilded for the Warriors. Golden State is aptly named during that time that Steve Kerr was there. And yes, they've been to the playoff 10 times with him, won 4 championships. There's this debate about whose era it's been. Is it been Steph Curry's era or LeBron James? There's all these debates going on, but the steady domino that has been there, the common denominator, Klay Thompson has been away, traded away to Dallas. Steve Kerr is the one who's been there to kind of get those guys, to where they are at the moment. And of course, we could have the conversation about Mark Jackson and all of that as we want, but he was the head man. I think in terms of should he stay or should he go, I think it does really depend on who the off-season acquisitions are. If Steve Kerr gets a chance to coach Giannis Antetokounmpo and Steph Curry, I think he stays. There's also been talk about, okay, what's going to happen with LeBron? Would LeBron leave the Lakers? Would he go to the Cavaliers or whatever it is? The Warriors are actually a team that has been discussed quite a bit, and LeBron has made it very clear he would love to play with Steph Curry. Now, they've done that during the Olympic time. They won their gold medal against France the last time round. But, would he run up the opportunity to play with Steph Curry? We don't know. And if he gets to do that, would Steve Kerr want to be there? I think absolutely he'd stay. So I think this is really contingent on whether or not they were able to get a high-level free agent to pair with Steph Curry for the rest of his career, because Steph Curry ain't going nowhere. The next 2 or 3 years or whatever it is he has left, I think Steve Kerr will want to stay there if they could pair him with someone else. Now that's what I think happens from a business perspective. When we think about what should happen, I think it's probably time to switch. I think, like he says, all good things comes to an end. I think he's making a statement here that he understands
Yeah,
that
it's
things need
time.
to switch. That the time is coming. And I think he understands that that's probably what is going to be discussed. Now, he did not negotiate a contract extension. This is his final year in the job. And I think that was a little bit of deliberateness as well, wanting to see how the season will play out, and then he'll be able to make a decision on what needs to happen. So I think with that contractually, Kerr is actually out as coach right now. It hasn't been formalized and said yet, but from a contractual point of view, he doesn't have any years left unless they negotiate something new. And I think that will be contingent on who they bring in to do that. But I think it's probably time for them to have a new voice, especially if they bring in someone else. Let's see what someone else could do. Now, the problem Mike Dunleavy, who's the GM of the Warriors, will have, and Joe Lacob, the owner, who do you bring in to coach Steph Curry and Draymond Green, if he's there or not, or whoever it is come? This is a unit, a franchise that is so you know encircled around these guys who are the core. Let's not talk about just the players. Steve Kerr is part of that core. And if you want to maximize what you could get out of Steph Curry and them being able to play within a system that works, Steve Kerr needs to be the head of that. Um, I do think it's time for a bit of a change. I think maybe I might be clouded by one of my guys in my WhatsApp groups. There's a big time Warriors fan who is he hates Steve Kerr. Every time I talk, Marlon, I'll give him a shot. Marlon Nasi, he wants Steve Kerr needs to go. Why isn't he playing Kaminga? You see, they traded Kaminga. It's Steve Kerr's fault and all that sort of stuff. He every time he gets a time to go at Steve Kerr, the small ball lineups that he plays most of the time when he should be trying to play bigs, etc. There's a lot of questionable decisions that have happened at certain times where you do blame Steve Kerr for that. But I think we have to understand as well that he has maximized so much from that team. But I would actually be happy to see someone new in at the helm to see what could happen. I think maybe it's gotten a bit old now with Steve Kerr, and I think a lot of his the struggles that he has been when there's been injuries and not the people around to really kind of get the teams to where they need to get to. So that works on his side. But I do kind of think I want to see something new in Golden State. So that's kind of where I lie on that. But I'm not going to say that if he comes back, I'd be kind of disappointed about it, because he's done so much for this franchise, and you have to give Jack his jacket. If they decide to keep him, you'll have to understand why that is. But I'm on the side of, let's give someone new the time. Who would it be? I have no idea. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in the off season, which has started now for the Warriors. They can, go ahead and have a good time. Draymond Green has been to St. Lucia in the Sulphur Springs a few times, a couple of one time or whatever it is. At a time, he was out for the holidays. It's time for him to plan his next trip for that, or visit Montego Bay or Kingston, wherever he wants to go for his holidays. And the guys will get ready for next season with Jimmy Butler hopefully healthy, and maybe Giannis or LeBron in too. We'll see what happens. This decision will be coming up any final words on this before we move on to the next topic?
What would be interesting for me, I think that if they should move on from Steve Kerr, I think the Warriors will look within the NBA for a replacement coach. But what would be interesting is getting a very good collegiate coach at the Warriors team.
Oh,
Dan Hurley.
collegiate. That ooh. If they could pull Dan Hurley, that'd be. But remember what happened? The Lakers tried to get him. The Lakers tried to get him, and he turned them down. Do you think he would actually leave that? But that's another enticing job.
UCLA's coach, Mike Krzyzewski.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you just have to take the chance, make the bold move, and see what will happen. I mean, I would like to see that. Not
There's
just any collegiate coach.
There's another one who has turned down quite a few jobs, but he has said that he has thought about it. Mike Izzo from Michigan State. He said, he's thought about it. He was actually really gone after by his former player, Matt Ishbia, owner of the Phoenix Suns, before he hired that new guy he has there. Tom Izzo was going after a bit. It'll be interesting to see what the Warriors do. One of the statements Joe Lacob made a couple of years ago when they started winning, they said that we are light years ahead. We competition wise, they were light years ahead. They knew what they were doing. There's no one that's gonna beat them. They have the resources, the financial resources to do anything. This is where you put money where your mouth is now. Let's see what happens.
Yes,
can you bring a player in or the right coach to take this team?
Yes, sir.
So that's the end of this. So the Warriors are going to watch this as the off season, comes sharply into focus and new contracts are being discussed. But like we said, we're in the playoffs now, and this is going to be the topic of our discussions moving forward mainly. But we definitely wanted to touch that because the Warriors are such a popular team, and there's been a lot of discussion about what happens with them moving forward. So we wanted to pay tribute and respects to Steve Kerr and Steph Curry. And we'll definitely be keeping an eye on this because I think something very monumental might happen for this team. A paradigm is about to be entered for the Warriors that we'll see. Second topic on the docket today is LeBron James. LeBron is never far away from headlines and topics, even if he doesn't ask for them or do anything on the court to bring them up. But our guy, we've spoken a few times about him this season. Patrick Beverley on his podcast, his new podcast, the Pat Bev Show, made a little bit of a statement that a few people have responded to. I think Kendrick Perkins actually made a proclamation recently about that as well before the playoffs started. But Pat Beverley said on his podcast that if LeBron James were to get past these Houston Rockets, for him, it would be right up there with Michael Jordan. So I think he still probably has Michael Jordan as his top guy, the GOAT, but he says if LeBron could get these guys that make a remarkable run to the Western Conference Finals, I think he quoted, he said it'll be 1A and 1A, right there with Jordan. He said 1A and 1A. That's what he actually said.
1A, 1A.
1A, 1A. He said, so right there. So I don't think he actually puts LeBron past Jordan just yet, but he said they're on that same level. You can't really take it out. And I think Kendrick Perkins said if he could get them past, he doesn't want to hear any debates anymore and that sort of stuff. So this one will be an interesting one to see. The Warriors, the Lakers, played their first game against the Houston Rockets last night. Was it last night? Yeah, last night. And I think they beat the Warriors. Really interesting game. Luke Kennard came out and was just hitting 3-point shots all over the place. Looked like a Steph Curry himself. 5 of 5 shooting, 27 points. And was outstanding himself. But LeBron James, the person that we're speaking about, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 13 assists on 9 of 15 shooting. Remarkable stat line from LeBron James, the 41-year-old there again. What did you think about what Pat Beverley had to say? I know we've kind of been teasing this topic a little bit in terms of the GOAT and everything, but Pat Beverley thinks, if he could get past these Houston Rockets, it will be one of those situations where it's not really much of a debate anymore. You have to put him at that same level as Jordan. What do you think about that?
This guy is
My guy came with his props. My guy came with his props.
The man
Cool.
himself is never short. He's never short of action, man. LeBron James. I mean, it will be interesting.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant out. I'm
Yeah.
not sure how long he'll be out for, but I was very happy when I got news that he'll be out for game one.
Yes.
And this is no, I tell you about momentum.
Mm.
Prior to the start of this series, I was very worried about how the series would go.
Yes.
Lakers matching up against the Rockets without Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, no, I think the paradigm has shifted after one game.
Mm.
Reason being, the Lakers know with all that they have at their disposal could possibly be thinking, let us consider ourselves the favorite in the series. And I think, as I said before the series started, I had Rockets. I was leaning heavily towards the Rockets. I was very what I said, wow,
Yeah.
could this possibly be another first round exit for the LA Lakers? After game one, the Rockets are the ones in trouble because this team believes the way they played last night. This team believes they are the favorites to win this series.
Yep.
You have Luke Kennard coming out looking like primetime Derek Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? All of a sudden, the paradigm has shifted, and I have the Lakers winning this series now. I wouldn't mind Kevin Durant out Tuesday again, and the Lakers go 2-0 up. The storyline will now be shifted, leaning towards Kevin Durant.
Mm.
It wouldn't be about LeBron James now and another first round ending and the end of the discussion because we all know the narrative and who controls the narrative in the NBA and the sports media.
Mm-hmm.
If LeBron James suffers a first round exit, that would be the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Let the story now shift towards Kevin Durant and what his legacy will look like.
Yeah.
The bracket though, it doesn't give good reading for the LA Lakers because if they get past the Houston Rockets, they'll go up against the winner of the Thunder Suns.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
whoever gets to that next round is in for a fight.
Yeah, but you know, as we said in the Caribbean, when we get to that bridge, we'll cross.
Cross it, yeah.
So you can't think, just focus on what's ahead of you. But back to the Pat Beverly discussion, getting this team to the Western Conference Final will be a huge task.
Mm.
Very huge task.
Absolutely.
And if LeBron James can do it without Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic, I think you have to give some kind of props to him. Not that he needs it, but it's just that he's not 25 or 30 again. He's 41 years old, still doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We've seen guys coming to the NBA have good 2-3 years, have their reign for 5 years. We have been seeing a LeBron James thunderstorm for 20 odd years. This is a reign. This is not a jersey. So if he can get past this Rockets team, which I believe he can now, that Thunder series, if he can propel the Lakers to beat this Thunder team, that's a different discussion now.
Yeah, it is.
That's a different discussion now.
Mm-hmm.
But GOAT-wise, it's hard to bring up the GOAT discussion with this. I wouldn't go as far as to say greatest of all time either, because we've seen it before. LeBron James, that man has taken some Cleveland Cavaliers team to NBA finals that had no business in NBA finals.
Yeah, fair enough. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely no. But we've seen it before. But I say at this stage of his career, it will be for interesting reading for this Lakers team to reach so far, and keeping fingers crossed that Doncic will be ready by say the next round. Luka Doncic.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know is available, but we're hoping that Austin Reeves and Luka can come back to give the team some help.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not taking Pat Bev's side again. I mean, Pat Bev is a player that I have a lot of time for. I have a lot of time for Pat Bev. But as I said, Pat Bev has been out for some time, and ever since he came back, Pat Bev has come out swinging haymakers
Lightning rod,
since
yeah,
his return.
yeah.
Since his return, he has returned with no jabs. It's haymakers he has been throwing since
That's
he
it.
has come back from his difficulty. So
Yeah.
it's just another take from him. But I think that this playoffs is we're in for real serious basketball. But I don't think GOAT discussion should be in the mix if LeBron James should take this team to the Western Conference Final, taking them to a championship now.
That's a different discussion. That's a different discussion for sure.
That's where the discussion should come up.
Yep. But
Because
yeah.
so LeBron James taking a team to Western Conference Final and losing makes him the mood. That was a very good point. And
Yeah.
the ultimate is winning a championship. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, I get you, totally get you. And yeah, it was interesting to see how that kind of came about. And I think it's again ultimate respect to LeBron James with what they're trying to say. Because when you have these GOAT discussions, and like Stephen A says it all the time, you're the second. Well, for him, as he says it, I have you as the second best player of all time. There's absolutely no disrespect because once you're in that discussion, there's no disrespect that comes with it because you're battling for number one with Jordan as well. I have always been of the mindset that LeBron, and it might not be a popular take for some people, but I give LeBron quite a lot of credit for what he's been able to do. What we've seen with the longevity thing, not many people have been able to, not many people, no
No
one has
one,
been able
yeah.
to do what he's done. 23 seasons in and what he's been able to do, the longevity, keeping himself ready, keeping himself durable, averaging, over 20 something points for his career. We said at the start of the season he needed to take that third wheel backseat to Luka and AR. He did that. Everyone was a little bit concerned. Can he do it? Can he not? You came out and you said straight up, LeBron has seen everything. He knows everything. He knows other teams' plays and everything. Why would anyone not understand that LeBron could, adjust to the situation that he did? And he did that perfectly. And we're now in a situation now he now needs to be the number one guy for the Lakers. And he's doing that again. He's just switched into gear where that is concerned. Taking any other conspiracies out of it or whatever it is, whether, because I made a joke about it in the last episode where I said, like, sciatica was at the start of the season. We haven't heard sciatica again. There are people who are out there. There's an NFL player a couple of days ago on social media said, it's like, nah, the league knows LeBron is taking steroids, but they're just turning a blind eye to it. But we're not going to get into that because we don't know that for a fact. But it's hard not to think about it because what this guy is doing is remarkable. No one has done that before. I am 40, going to be 41 years old myself, and I'm not a pro athlete or elite athlete at all. I cannot take a power dribble now to go and do a power layup and not expect that I pull a hamstring. It is crazy what LeBron is doing. You know what I mean? So all respect to him for what he's doing. If he takes these guys past the Rockets, I think we were already when we started, our postseason chat, we said we don't think it would happen. We can't expect LeBron without Luka and Austin Reeves to take this team past the Rockets. A healthy Kevin Durant, a much younger team and everything. Kevin Durant is out now, and it doesn't look like we're not sure what's going to happen. He tried to warm up. He tried to get ready. It said that he had an injury during practice before game one. A knee on, yeah, a crash of the knees against a teammates, and that's what's kind of kept him out. I think the next game two, is on Thursday, so he has enough time to rest. So it's likely that he will play. Will that slow him down? Who knows? But the fact that Kevin Durant didn't play game one, all the momentum is on the Lakers side, and it puts a lot more pressure on the Rockets with more potential to make mistakes. Kevin Durant having to press too much and kind of more mistakes happening and that sort of thing. And that's
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
The stats for Luke Kennard. 9 for 13 from the field, 5 for 5 from 3-point, correct?
Yeah. Just made all his shots and everything. And if Luka Doncic and them comes back, that's even more reinforcements for them. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what the Rockets do. I think they're really badly on the back foot. We saw, the guys just not defending at all, kind of defend the perimeter, and the Lakers have the momentum, and I think that's going to work in their favor for that. Get into the second round. To answer that question from Pat Bev, does it make him 1A and 1A with Jordan? If he could get to the Western Conference Finals, I'll agree with Pat Bev. I will agree. I wouldn't put him past Jordan. But I'd be like, it is remarkable to see LeBron being able to do that at this age. Longevity is you have to give it. They always say the greatest ability is availability, and he's been there and he's guided his teams. Let's not take that away from LeBron at all. Yeah, so longevity with LeBron, I think it's he's proven so much. He's never averaged anything less than 20 points a game in his career. Looking at this season, this is the lowest points he scored in his career since his rookie season, 20.9, exactly the same average. I just going to look at it really quickly again. Yeah, 20.9 points. That's the last time he scored that little was his rookie season, 20.9 points. 23 seasons ago, 22 seasons ago, or whatever it is. So this is a guy, who has just been remarkable for this long. You cannot fathom anyone being able to probably even do that again or come close to it. So I think, Michael Jordan's career was what it was. He had a truncated career because of the two retirements, 6-0 in the finals, 10-time, all defense, I think it is, 5 MVPs, defensive player of the year, all the different accolades everyone's we know what those are.
Never played in a game 7.
Never played in
NBA
a game
finals.
7, in the NBA finals. The level of competition that he played, of course, the era that it was more physical. I think we could definitely say that's what it is. But LeBron, yes, it doesn't have as pristine a playoff record like Michael Jordan. That's fine. But who's perfect? Not everyone is perfect. Jordan is probably as close to perfection as it is in terms of what when you speak about a career and what would be considered the greatest of all time. But LeBron James has kind of ridden that path. He's gotten to 10 finals. He's won 4. He's done what he's done for so long. He's had such an impact as much as he had. And you cannot take that away from him. I'm always on the side of, okay, Jordan is what I'd consider my GOAT, but I have such respect for what LeBron has done for the game. And yes, there's been the decision. Yes, a lot of people say, he's been able to recruit so many players onto his teams and all that sort of stuff. But, you still have to play the games. We've seen a lot of examples of teams coming together with star players and flaming out. He's been able to get them to the finals. That's huge. There's the argument about, did he have good enough coaches or did he want to be coached? He wanted coaches that he could influence. Okay, fine. That's okay. But if that's the case and he didn't have the coaches that would have been harder on him and he's still able to get those teams to the finals, it shows how impactful that he is to kind of get, those teams to where they have gotten before. So I don't take anything away from LeBron James's career in being able to get, amass all what he's been able to do. I think you said it on the last episode. The points record is out in outer space right now. There's no one that'll probably get to that again. Props to what he's been able to do. For him to actually get to the Western Conference Finals, going up against the Thunder Knicks, if they get past these Houston Rockets, that's no mean feat. And LeBron would have a lot to do with them advancing to that. And I don't think anyone expects them to win. They're definitely the underdogs going into these playoffs in every sort of way. So if he were to advance them to there, props to him. Props to him. But they definitely have a leg up now with Kevin Durant with this knee injury that he has. I think this kind of propels them forward. And as we go on to talk about the brackets, you will see what I've done with that moving forward, and we get what Oren's take is on that as well. But I'm gonna actually agree with Pat Bev here. I'll not put him above Jordan, but I'll say, you know what, you had to give the boy his props. Let's
true.
I don't think we're going to see another career like what we saw with Jordan, and I don't think we're going to see another career like what we saw with
For
LeBron
that
James.
LeBron. Yeah.
And let's put them on the same playing field. If there's gonna be a co-MVP or co-rookie of the year this year, let this be a co-GOAT thing. You have to talk about LeBron James in the Mount Rushmore of basketball, and he's right up there with Michael Jordan in terms of impact and what he's been able to do. And this season, if he's able to propel them further than anyone expected, I think you had to give him that. So people, whoever's going to be upset with me, tough, because I have a lot of LeBron hating fans out there, or people who are not too much on his bandwagon. But I always like to give Jack his jacket. I always tell them, this is something I always tell them as well. Orane, LeBron James is going to retire whenever he does, whether it be at the end of the season or next. Y'all are gonna miss him.
Yep.
Y'all are gonna
Yep.
miss him. From
Yep.
oh, this boy does flop. Oh, I hate to see him win. All these sorts of things, y'all are gonna miss it. And I could say that from experience. I was not a Kobe Bryant fan. I did not like him. I was so happy for Kobe to be away from the game because I was not a Kobe Bryant fan. I miss Kobe Bryant now. I
Yep.
miss him. I miss his
Yep.
competitiveness. I miss what he was able to do. I miss, his tenacity. I think, when he started up his private, production company, Kobe Inc., and he won the Grammy for his little animation film that he put out. I was like, nah, man, this guy was just, going hard at everything he did. And you saw it on the field, and he was a little bit of an asshole for it on the court. And I think we're missing that now. What will people miss
I
the
remember can't remember which song it was in, or which artist sang the song. But it goes along the lines of the same thing that people hate you for, some people love you for it.
True,
Yeah?
true, yeah,
People hated Kobe Bryant because of his mindset and how he operated on and off the court.
yeah,
And some people love Kobe Bryant because of that.
mhm,
That is where the term coined Mamba mindset came from.
yeah,
Yeah? And that is, when I look back, you absolutely correct with that. When looking back, I was like, yeah, the same thing that I hated Kobe Bryant for during his playing days, the
mhm.
same thing I ended up loving
Miss
after
about
he
him
left the game of
big
basketball.
time, big time.
Ruthlessness, is don't care attitude. He had this mindset that I don't care who you are going to respect me. And that is why he and Shaq did not get along.
Yeah,
I mean, Shaq now wants to downplay it and, say it was all a big brother rivalry. And
hmm
who were around at the time know the true story.
hmm
Shaq was envious of Kobe
yeah, yeah.
because of how he came in and he was like, no, I want to be the man at the team. And
hmm
I ended up love Kobe Bryant for that. So you're absolutely right with
Yeah,
that.
man. Kobe was, and I think it's his his shadow was casted even larger on the NBA after his passing, untimely passing, and I think a lot of people's respect for him grew after that because it was like such a tragic end. But I started to respect him after he retired because I realized how much I missed his intensity in games because you could
Yeah,
see the
yeah,
difference with him not being in the NBA almost immediately after that 60-point game and he dropped the mic and he said Mamba out. The seasons that followed
yep,
just felt empty. And LeBron James has been such a heavy narrative in NBA stories, headlines, folklore, Le GM, him recruiting players or not, him and Rich Paul, and all the different things. There is going to be, and we've had this discussion earlier on in the season where we talk about the league will be in good hands and talent wise and everything. But in terms of just, his presence and what he was able to do with the game, whether or not people hated him or not, you wanted to see what the outcome will be. I don't think yes, there's guys like Wemby, there's Anthony Edwards, and these guys are writing their stories right now. But you wanted to see what would happen to LeBron James. Hate him or love him, win or lose, you wanted to see the outcome. And I think people will miss that. And I think they're just not seeing it yet. But providing that he stays quiet and doesn't do any more talking, because I think that's the issue with LeBron. LeBron, like, he talks too much. After I won the championship
yeah.
in Cleveland, This is what made me the greatest of all times. He calls his number a bit too much, and I think that is what has grated against people. And I think because he had a lot of fans when he was in Cleveland the first time. A lot of people loved him then. He moved to Miami, and a lot of people hated him for a little bit, but the love kind of grew back. He went back to Cleveland. Everything was good again for a little bit. And then of course the Lakers chapter that's closing out right now. But yeah, people need to respect the man. Yeah, this is something that we're not going to see again, for either for a very long time or if ever. And I think that raises his pedestal a little bit. So as we talk about LeBron advancing or not, let's see what happens. We move on to the third topic, our final one for today, episode 21, brackets. And of course, like we said, the playoffs have started, and LeBron and the Lakers, of course, have started out 1-0 against the Houston Rockets. And we kind of just going to do a little bit of a quick little prediction kind of thing. The brackets are out for the NBA. And yeah, let's kind of see what we're thinking. Orane, I think I sent you a bracket before. I'll put it up on screen for everyone to see during the edits. But what do you think? How do you think these brackets are gonna go? Who you think are your major upsets? Which series are you really looking at? Where do you think this is going?
All right, so I'll do for the first round, and then after the first round, we'll do it for the semifinals.
Cool.
And then the finals, and then the NBA finals. So I'll start over in the East. Pretty straightforward for me. I have the Pistons over the Magic.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the Cavaliers over the Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks over the Hawks, and the Celtics over the 76ers.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm
over to
the no change.
Jump over to the West.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have the Spurs over Trailblazers, easy.
Mm-hmm.
Lakers over the Rockets. Thunder over the Suns. I have the Nuggets over the T-Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
However, if there should be any upset in the NBA playoffs first round, this series should provide that upset. So if the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets, I think I'm still correct.
Right. Yeah, that would be a major surprise.
Nuggets over the T-Wolves. But if there's any upset that should occur in the first round of the NBA playoffs, it will come from this series.
From this one. All right, cool. I got you there. Yeah, I think
that's my because person.
Yeah, I think we're in line here. I think no changes in terms of what the first round will look like. I think for me, my biggest upset would be the Timberwolves is a good one. I think Anthony Edwards is dealing with a little bit of an injury. He was a little bit hobbled in game one, a little bit limited. So the Nuggets took game one with that. Who I think the biggest upset where it could probably come from? Well, what some people might see as an upset, I see Hawks potentially taking down the Knicks. I think for me, in my predictions, my brackets, I have the Knicks advancing. But if there is to be an upset for me, the Nuggets and Timberwolves is a good one. But I think the Hawks potentially, coming back and haunting the Knicks without Trae Young. Yeah. So that's one as well. So yeah, but I think we're on the same line for all of these in terms of predictions moving forward. So okay, so we're going on to the conference semis now. Where are you at?
For the semis?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I want to wait until after the first round has completed, and then the teams stack up. So when the teams stack up for the semis, I'll then tell you my prediction. Then
you give your predictions there. Okay, no problem.
Yes.
All right, cool. I'll go heavy and I'll kind of go straight into what my predictions are. But that's good. But we have a baseline from what I suppose my predictions will be, and then we kind of go through with yours as it kind of goes on. But what I have always tended to do when the postseason started is give what I think my predictions will be. And then when the finals comes, whether or not I was right who the finalists are or not, and then I give another prediction based on that. But I've gone super heavy, and I've gone when going on into the semifinals now. I have the Lakers and Thunder. I say the Rockets advance past the Lakers because the Lakers advance past the Rockets. Sorry, because of this Kevin Durant injury. I don't know if the Rockets will be able to do as. Yeah, I just think they're going to have some problems moving forward. I think Kevin Durant is going to come in. He's going to try to press a little bit. And we've seen what's happened with the defense there. I can't expect Luke Kennard to put up another 27 points and 5 for 5 from shooting. But I think, the team will be steady. Luka and AR might come back. Well, at least Luka might come back. I think he's projected to come back before Austin Reeves. And I think, it's just going to cause a lot of problems for the Houston Rockets if game one was to be any sort of indicator of what could potentially happen. So I have the Lakers and Thunder in the second round. Then I have the Nuggets and Spurs moving on to the second round. I suppose we had the same choices, so we know what the conference ends are. So I suppose going on into the conference finals now, that's really the thing. Lakers and Thunder. I have the Thunder beating the Lakers. I think this is where the road stops for the Lakers. Then we have the Nuggets and Spurs. This one was tough. Wemby versus Jokic again. During the regular season, we saw Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets beating them 3-1 in their 4-game series. I think that is going to be the same situation. I think the Nuggets will advance past the Spurs. I think the Jokic and his experience and what he's been able to create will push the Nuggets through. I think the San Antonio Spurs will account for themselves tremendously. They're going to play really well. It's going to be a really hard-fought series in the second round, but I think the Nuggets will advance. Over on the east side, between the Pistons and Cavaliers, I'm going on with my Pistons. I think, Cade Cunningham has come back. He not being around for quite some time has given, the team an opportunity to find out what they're made of. Danish Jenkins has come in, had played really good. Jalen Duran has shown he could anchor an offense for a little bit. The defensive toughness, I think, is going to propel them through. Not the Houston Rockets. I'm thinking old time. James Harden here, but the Cavaliers, I think they're going to kind of just sputter again. I think something is going to happen, and the Cavaliers are just not going to be able to make it past the physicality of the Pistons. When you go on to the Knicks and Celtics, I say the Celtics go through. I think they exact their revenge on the Knicks from last year, and the Jays, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are going to take these boys through to the finals, the Eastern Conference Finals, and face off against the Pistons. And then we get to the finals where I see the Pistons advance past the Celtics. I think Jason Tatum has come back. I think they just won game one against the 76ers today, and Jason Tatum has played outstandingly in this first game one. But I think, there comes to a point where his body will probably slow him down a bit. Yes, we haven't seen any reason to believe that, but coming from an Achilles injury and everything, I think there's going to be some sort of limitation coming up, and then you're playing against a physical Pistons team. I think they're going to wear on him as much as possible. Jaylen Brown can kind of carry that load, but I think the Pistons, what they've been able to show this season, will push through. My prediction of them getting to the finals is going to be correct, and that's what I'm hoping for. Pistons versus Nuggets in the finals. I see the Nuggets win the championship this year. I was not big on the Thunder repeating. I think they have an outstanding team, but I think to a certain extent they've been figured out. Even if the Spurs get through and pass the Nuggets in the second round, I think the Spurs have their number the same way. I think there's going to be a struggle for them getting out of the West, so they play against the Nuggets, and the Nuggets are going to get past. And I think the Nuggets come back as champions. That's where I'm at. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward with these playoffs and how this all plays out. We'll get your predictions as we move forward into the rounds. But I've put my takes out there. Let's see what happens.
I think that's a very good take. I think we should join the NBA.com about has a bracket, $1 million for the correct prediction. I think we should join that because I'm going to put in my prediction very soon.
Right.
So I think we should have a crack at that 1 million because I actually love that bracket. It reads good.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. And of course, like we always see, the playoffs are something where so many things could happen. Injuries could happen. Players could just grow into roles that we didn't expect. and you know, just kind of win games for teams that you just didn't expect. You know, the Knicks, a lot of people are putting the Knicks you know, out, but Karl-Anthony Towns might just turn into a monster this offseason and, you know, turn a lot of heads and get them to the finals like most people wanted to see happen at the start of this season. Can the Pistons hold on? Can LeBron, you know, do the impossible and bring this team to? There's a lot of things that happen, and it's not always as clear cut as maybe what I put out for my bracket. But let's see what happens. I think the Nuggets will get the championship this year. But of course, the guys had to play the games, and we shall see what happens. So this comes to the end of our episode 21. Orane is gonna, you know, we're gonna get our predictions from him coming forward. But we're gonna continue. I think right now, like I said, the Celtics just defeated the 76ers in game 1. Who's playing game 2 today? Let me just check really quickly. We have the Pistons and oh no, the Thunder and Suns are playing right now, 30-19. So let's go see what happens with that. I think this, like we said, that the Thunder will get past this one. The Pistons and Magic will be interesting. Oh, I want to see Wemby and his first postseason appearance. That's coming up later tonight as well. So let's see what happens. So this is the end of our episode here, episode 21. Episode 20, we've had a little bit of a delay. This is coming out really soon. I know Orane is really eager to see what what this looks like, but you guys are going to enjoy that for sure. But stay tuned with us. The postseason is here. Next week, we might have a very interesting guest coming on to talk postseason basketball with us as well. And we have a few, you know, interesting people that we've been conversating with, hoping that we could bring on. I think the playoffs are going to be a lovely time for Baseline to Baseline. And, you know, you just got to stay with us and see what comes up. So thank you very much, Orane, as usual. Another day. Let's see if we could sync up on the jerseys. Let's see if we could play this lottery where we end up playing wearing the same jersey at some point. Let's see what happens next week. But thanks as usual. Episode 21 comes to an end. Thank you guys for listening, and we shall see you in episode 22. All right.
Yes, sir.
Catch up later.
From the hardwood floor to the spotlight glow, breaking down the stats every fan should know. Trace, place, legends in the making. Every headline, no mistaking. Fast breaks, crossovers, highlight reels. What's real strategy, what's hype and feels. East to west, we call it straight. From draft night buzz to finals fade. Baseline to baseline, we cover it all. Big plays, bold takes, the rise and the fall. Baseline to baseline, where passion is prime. Your NBA breakdown every single time. Baseline to baseline, we